Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I have with me a very special guest named Todd Sullivan. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. So, you're basically an author and a teacher. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
I'm here in Taipei, Taiwan. I've been here for about 19 months, perhaps, October 2019. And I was in Korea before then. And yeah, I have some books out. So I have a fantasy series out. It's two books, Hollow Man and There Will Be One. And then the third book comes out in October 1st.
Yeah, so you were. So, where did you come originally? You,
One more time. Can you repeat that one more time?
where did you come from originally to
Oh,
Taipei?
okay. Yeah, I'm from America. Yeah, I'm from America.
Yeah, I figured as much. So, what
Right.
are you interested in Asian culture and then Taipei and Korean culture specifically?
I've been here for 12 years. I went to Japan first for my master's program. I was there for like 3 weeks we were studying Japanese film and books. And I was trying to go to Japan, but then I ended up in Korea. But I've been here for a long time, so it's been more than a decade I've been in this part of the world. But yeah, I am interested in it. I am interested in this part of the world.
Yeah. I'm also interested in this particular part of the world that you are currently in. Um, I have a lot of interest in Asia, Southeast Asia, and religion and art, Zen Buddhism, and stuff like this. So before we jump into the meat of the conversation, talking about the books themselves, were you always interested in writing and stuff like this and teaching?
I was always interested in writing, yes, and always interested in teaching. I suppose so. You know, in high school, maybe ninth grade. My high school started at eighth grade, I went to a private school. So when I was in high school, I taught elementary school students very basic character development and plot development, very basic through the game D&D. Do you know D&D by any
Yeah,
chance?
of course. Dungeons and
Right.
Dragons.
Right, so I taught them writing through D&D, and that was when I was, let's see, ninth grade. I guess you're maybe 14. So I guess maybe from a very early age, I was interested in teaching, and I taught fencing. I did fencing for a while in America, and now I'm here teaching English.
So you're a dungeon master, a teacher, and then author.
Well, I haven't played Dungeons and Dragons in a very, very long time, since high school, but I suppose once upon a time, yes, I was.
Yeah, a lot of people who are really, really talented and are very intelligent, I think, play those kinds of games. They practice a lot of scenarios, shall we say, that prepare them for real life. Yeah.
Right, yeah, George R. R. Martin, the guy who did Game of Thrones. I don't know if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, but
Yeah,
he
I
was
like.
also he was within really deep within the community. And when you look at how his books developed, you could definitely see how Dungeons and Dragons had very big influence upon the development of his series.
Yeah. So, can you tell me a little bit about your time in the Korea? Why were you drawn to this culture? How are you fitting in this culture? Because it's a very monolithic culture in a sense, culturally and otherwise. So, how do you think you fit in, and were you attracted to this culture?
That's true. Korea is probably like 95% Korean. There's not a lot of different type of races or ethnicities in Korea besides Koreans. My attraction to it, again, I was after I did my master's program, I was actually aiming for Japan. I was trying to go to Tokyo, back to Tokyo, but Korea was hiring many English teachers 12 years ago, and Japan then and now hires very few English teachers, and so it was simply easier to get a job in Korea. And so I don't know so much. Before I went there, honestly, I didn't know anything about Korea. I may have known that Seoul was the capital, but beyond that, I didn't really know anything about Korea. But over time, I learned quite a lot. And everything I've had published in the last 8 years, all takes place in Korea. So I guess I do have a good deal of interest in the country now.
Yeah, do you like Korean horror films and stuff like this?
I saw my first Korean film was Old Boy. Have you seen Old Boy?
Yeah, of course. The
Yes,
masterpieces.
that was my first one, and I've seen quite a few Korean movies since then. Korean horror, yeah, I mean, I do enjoy it. I've seen Train to Busan, right? Train to Busan, and a
Yeah.
few others. I do enjoy it. Yes.
Yes, so let's talk a little bit about your books. What are they about? Who are the characters? What is the target audience? Why did you write the books?
Well, the fantasy books is basically about a group of young men who live in a place called. Are you familiar at all with Korea? Are you? I know
A
you just
little
said you are,
bit.
but you
A
familiar?
little bit, yes.
So Korea and then at the bottom of South Korea, there's an island called Jeju, and that's where I lived for the first 5 years.
Hmm.
Jeju, but these young men in Jeju who travel to the mainland in order to fulfill quests, so they have to, overcome some great obstacle. And if you complete enough quests, you become a hero. You're the emperor, like kind of knights you as a hero. So that's what they're trying to do. They're all trying to become hero. And the book itself is really about the people who are traveling but don't make it. That's really kind of more or less the focus of the book, the people who don't become heroes. And the idea of the book is, when you're younger, you try to accomplish. Many people have these significant goals in their minds, like these really big things. But then as you grow up, like things like, money, work, family, kids, wives, like real world things come into play. And so it's just a metaphor for that. When you're young, you're trying to accomplish big things, but over time, you just live more of a normal life in the end.
Yeah, so can you tell me a little bit about the main character? How did you come up with his name, his background, his goals in life, his aspirations?
Well, the main character's name is Hajun, and he is supposed to be a very muscular person. And he's covered with scars that his father gave him from a very young time, as his father drove him to become, because his father had this dream of his son becoming the hero. His father's like a farmer, had his dream of his son becoming the hero, and so he drove him from a very young age. And as a result, Hajun has a lot of anger inside them that kind of influences a lot of his decisions. And so that's basically him. And then there is, in the Hollow Man, there is a soldier who is a husband with a young child. And he's more or less just kind of like a working man, There's a monk who is the spiritual aspect of the book, of that first book. And then there is a knight who is a politician's son. So those are the four main characters. And then the person who records their adventures is a foreigner, actually, and her name is Windshine. And she is in each book, there's usually about 4 to 8 young men, and then there's her, who's kind of the center of what they're doing.
So it's kind of a Lord of the Ring-esque voyage to some far corner of Korea, shall we say? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it is definitely a quest.
It's a classical tale, yeah. I think.
Yeah, it's a quest. It's a hero's tale.
Yeah, it's like a Jason and the Argonauts, if I can say this.
I haven't heard that one, but it's like Conan. I've heard Conan the Barbarian, and it's like quests tend to go very similar ways. I mean, quest fantasy tends to go very similar ways. Actually, Game of Thrones wasn't a quest fantasy. I guess kind of was. They were trying to get the throne, but that kind of wasn't. But yeah, quest fantasies tend to go in a very similar way.
Yeah. So are you working on something new, or do you leave writing for a different time or later on?
No, right now I've been writing a lot of poetry and essays for the last 5, 6 months. I've been writing poetry and then I've been writing essays. So that's what I've been doing most of the time the last half year.
So what are your essays about?
They are about my experiences here in Asia, basically. They are, yeah, about experiences here in Asia. And I did like martial arts here called Gomdo in Korean, but Kendo is the easy word to say. So I did
Yes.
that. So some is that, and then some is just about being a foreigner in a foreign country. That's basically what they're about.
So I think we'll leave it at that, and I think we can talk further on in the future about different subjects or new projects that are coming up, and we can discuss maybe fantasy books and Korean culture.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I want to thank you so much, Todd, and I want to thank you, the audience, for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Goodbye.